This is a special 20th anniversary. Limited edition. One of 13,300. See?
It's the first one, too.
It's the first one. I'm saying.
Is it?
Yes.
Need some of the
I don't know that.
using this.
I saw it probably during this year.
Seda.
First bottle of this.
Is it a kilometer?
There you go.
Oh, peace.
Shtiya kadat, enones. Everyone gets to drink whatever they want.
What?
Megillah says Shtiya kadat, enones, which means that
Enones.
enones, Shtiya kadat, enones. Intensive amel, ish. Drinking is as everyone pleases. No one's forced. Everyone gets to do exactly according to what they want, what they choose. So I'm drinking tea. You fellows are drinking what you're drinking. The real meaning of that pasuk is Hashtiya Kadat is that drinking is the religion. You drink religiously, but enones. Nobody's forced. The king says that in this religion, it's kirtonish va'ish. Every person has to seek out what they truly desire, which is what we're going to be learning about tonight. But we have to sing a new one. I think it's above Vernigam, but I'm not sure. You know it? It's familiar to you?
I know it. I don't know
So we're getting ready for Purim. Can you hear me okay? Turn the heater off. It's warm enough. And there's a switch at the black switch at the top. There's two next to each other. You see? Flip up above. Next to the clock, up above. Yeah, flip the left one down and zero. Thank you. Okay, thanks. I feel like what I wanna learn together tonight is a little too ambitious. Like we're not going to get to everything that I want to get to. Bichlal with Purim, it's like a minefield. Like anything you step on could become a whole like deep tunnel of its own, and I'm going to try to mitzamtzem and keep a certain thread through this. The thing I started by saying is very important. That in the Megillah it says Hashtiya Kadat Enones Ki Ken Tziva. I don't remember. We have the Megillah here. I think he Ken Tziva. Yeah. At the king's party, Achashverosh's party was 180 days. This first party. That's mamish a half year. Half of a year they were having a party.
Is it days and nights?
I don't think it's specific, but I assume that the days and the nights were hard to differentiate over there. But I think Can you find me in the Megillah Esther just so we have the text on it? But that there's something happening in the Megillah, and this is really what I want to focus on tonight, just to cut to the chase, is the difference between being forced to do things, being forced in our reality, coerced, having things thrust upon us, and living with a connection to our ratzon, to our will, to wanting, to desiring. So, yeah. So to start, we're going to read a piece from the Ish Kodesh, just 2 paragraphs of a piece that really deserves like weeks, months, years. And then we'll go into some Gemaras and some other things. Okay? I brought the pages here. I'm going to start with the Ish Kodesh from Parshat Chukat, Tafshin Bet. It starts at the bottom of this page, and it's a 2-sided paper. I'll start reading as you pass from mine. Okay. It says in Parshat Chukat that Am Yisrael got to meet Bartzin, and Miriam died, and she was buried. And then right away, they didn't have water, and they all gathered around Moshe and Aaron. This is the preamble to the famous hitting the rock, right? The famous time when Moshe hits the rock, and because of that, it hasn't come to Eretz Yisrael. So the Piaseczna says like this. Ki habe'er b'zchut Miriam, right? The Chachamim say the reason that they didn't have water right after Miriam's death is because the well that accompanied them throughout the desert, the Be'er, was in Miriam's merit, that they had water traveling with them in the desert. You don't have water in the desert. You ever been to the desert? There's like not much water there. But for 40 years, Am Yisrael had water. B'zchut Miriam, there was a Be'er. V'navin lama davka b'zchuta. Why specifically in her merit did they get a well? What's the connection?
A brother, when she watched Moshe on the Nile.
Yeah.
So she's associated with water.
So that's your answer.
Yeah.
That's not his answer.
Oh, okay.
We're not going to answer it right now. We'll hear what he has to say. Okay. Lo shanu rotzim ladad lama. Listen, lama az hayahabe dafka b'zchuta. He's like, when I ask why in her merit is there a well, I'm not asking why specifically did there's a well because of Miriam. We don't have any understanding what it means that someone's living in such a way that things happen like miraculous wells because of that. We don't. It's not something that we can really understand. What in the world is this trying to tell us? When the Chachamim are telling us that the well was in her zechut, was in her merit, what are they really saying? Afshar ki Rashi piresh hafhi benishikam afhi benishikameta uvnei malo ne'amar bal pi Hashem she'ader kvodo shemala. Okay, Mazamaram Islanu. So he says Rashi explains that Miriam, right? We're told that Aaron died with a kiss, like a divine kiss. And Rashi says that we don't have this same statement about Miriam, because even though, of course, she also died with a kiss, this is like the way that the death of holy people is referred to as death as a kiss with God. So Rashi says something really kind of strange. He says, Why doesn't it say that Miriam died al pi Hashem, by Hashem's mouth, which hints to us that it was a kiss, it was by God's mouth that somebody died? Well, ein derech kavod shel mala. It's not honorable to heaven for Miriam to be kissed by God. What can this be trying to say? What in the world does that mean? It's not God's honor to kiss Miriam. It's a bit of a ridiculous thing, but the normal standard way of understanding that statement of Rashi is, well, the Torah wouldn't tell us that God kissed a woman. You hear how like strange that is, right? That's the standard way of understanding what this means in Kvod Shema, and the Rebbe here is saying that's not what it means. We're not talking about God as a man kissing a woman. It's like this isn't what we're talking about. So these are his two questions: the well, and what is this thing of honor, of God's honor in Miriam's death? Okay. He's quoting his father's writings. שהאיש ישראלי צריך לדעת שגם בשעה שהוא מתעורר בהתעוררות דלתתא. We need to know that when we have a awakening from within ourselves, which is called התעוררות דלתתא, a awakening from below, arousal from below, גם כן הוא יתברך נותן בו דעת ורצון ממעלה כדי שיתעורר מלמטה. So even when I feel that I'm getting motivated, I'm getting energized, I'm getting excited for holy things, it's because God is planting that within me also. Meaning it's not really beginning with me. Right? Even my energy to come close to God is starting that too. Planting the seed in me. Giving me dat v'ratzon, giving me will, desire, giving me awareness.
Sorry, just a technical question.
Yeah.
Aleph? Ruta
Dilatata.
What's the
Question. Itaruta. Aleph Tav. Ayin Reish Vav Tav Aleph. It's Aramaic. ובספר ספרים הקדושים מיטה על זה רמז מהפסוק בתהילים ולך השם חסד כי אתה תשלם נשכמסהו. Forgive me for going quickly, okay? Trying to get to certain points that we're going to carry forward. Some of the other Svarim say that we have a hint to this in a pasuk from Tehillim. God, you do great kindness to us because you compensate a person according to their actions. That's what the pasuk says in Tehillim. So what do you mean it's a kindness? You're doing me a favor if you're paying me for what I did? Right? It's a strange lashon. Because the truth is, it's God who woke me up. God is the one who gave me the energy, the desire, the ratzon to do something good. So I don't really deserve any reward for that. I don't deserve to be paid back for something that God allowed me to do. It's God who's acting. When I do something good, God is pushing me along. I all of a sudden woke up one day like a tzaddik who was wants to daven my heart out. God gave me a gift. You're gonna give me a reward for that? So that's a chesed. Zeu chesed. This is God's kindness. This is God extending outwards to us. God gives to us as if God treats us as if we did it. It's the biggest gift there is for God to say, "Oh, you did it. You did it yourself." Okay. As if it was the person who had done that act. That's God's kindness. Okay, so what do we have so far? We have any time that I get inspired, I have a ratzon, a will, a desire to do something holy. So I need to know that God is the one who is giving me that desire. God planted that within me. And as a gift, God is gonna relate to me as if I did something on my own. Okay. Nimsa lefizeh. So now we're going to Miriam. Now we come to Miriam. She'isha hanaseh tzadeket v'lomeret Torah mekayemet mitzvot. He says, he's now referring back to Miriam, but he's taking Miriam as a paradigm. He says, a woman who becomes a tzaddiket, becomes a holy person, v'lomeret Torah mekayemet mitzvot, who devotes herself to learning Torah, Avodat Hashem, zot hi maaseh shelah. It actually truly is her own action. Kevan she'ina metzuva ve'oseh. Because she's not being commanded to learn Torah and do as many mitzvot as men are commanded to do. To understand what he's saying. And we know that the religious obligations upon men are heavier and more than the religious obligations upon women. And there's all sorts of reasons for that. There's all sorts of ways that people take that. What the Rebbe is saying here is, there's a statement in the Gemara that says, Gadol ha-metzuva ve'oseh m'she'ena metzuva ve'oseh. Greater is one who is commanded to do something and does it, than one who wasn't commanded to do something and does it. And the Rebbe is saying the opposite is true. He's saying the opposite of the Gemara Fakert. Because if you were commanded to do something, you know what? God is helping you do it. God wants you to do something, God's going to help you do it. Any ounce of strength you have to do those mitzvot that you have, it's only as if you did it. It's ki'ilu. Get off your high horse. God wants you to do tefillah. That's why you're waking up in the morning and getting yourself to do it. Okay? But someone who's not commanded, who's going beyond what's required of them, is actually doing it on their own. Is actually doing it on their own. Because there's no ratzon Hashem to say you have to do these things. The mitzvot are given as these paradigms. You do this, you do that, you do this, don't do this, don't do this. But somebody who doesn't have those mitzvot and they are going and fulfilling those mitzvot and making themselves holy in ways that they weren't commanded to do, that nobody's like pushing them along, they're saying, she did it herself. She truly did do it. It's not ki'ilu. It's not as if.
What's the Gemara's reason that?
It doesn't really, from what I don't remember a reason. I have to look at it. It's a good question. I don't remember a reason, but there wasn't as much of an inspiration awakening from above. By the way, this lashon of itaruta delatata, the will, the awakening, the arousal from below, is called in the language of the Kabbalah mayim nukvi, the feminine water, which meets mayim duchri, the masculine water. So the Rebbe is saying that when you have an obligation to do something, your feminine waters are really just masculine waters. Your action of your own is God giving you an influx of energy. But when you're not commanded to do something and you're going beyond what's required of you and you're mamish making yourself into a holier person than what you were told to do, so then it's true. That is the feminine water. That's the mayim nukvi. That is the arousal from below. Okay, that is the person themselves. This is or herself reaching out. V'zeh af hi b'neshika meita u'mipnei ma lo nomar ba'al pi Hashem sheno derech kavod shamali. Now he's explaining Rashi. She also died from a kiss. She also died with complete closeness with God. But why isn't it written al pi Hashem? Why isn't it written that God commanded it to be? She'eno derech kavod shamala. It's not honor. It's not the honor of above. Let's listen to what that means. Hainu ha sheba'al madriga gedola kazu lo haya bihit orut shamala v'rak bihitruta delatata lechen lo shayach lomar al pi Hashem. The fact that Miriam brought herself to such a place where she died by a kiss, it's not God's honor that she reached that place. It's her honor. It's not kavod shamala that made that happen. You hear? You hear, Maishi? It's not kvodo shamala. So it's not al pi Hashem. God did not make this happen. Miriam made it happen. Miriam made herself die by a kiss. So Torah's not going to say it was God's mouth that made that. Yeah? Mashiach Aaron. Yeah. No, there'd be no Moshe Rabbeinu without Miriam. I mean, Forget it, forget it. Nothing with them. The source of her avoda was within her. Umimena novea, and it flowed outward bubbled up from within her. Lachen habe'er. So now why did she have the well? Habe'er, mikor hanovea, mayim chayim, mayim kedoshim, hayta b'zchuta. A well is a wellspring that bubbles up from below. So that's why it was in her zchut in the desert, because that was who she was. Her avoda was that of a wellspring that bubbles from within, from beneath, from below, and rises up. Moshe Rabbeinu, the manfa from heaven in his zchut, are on the clouds, all this sort of sky heaven stuff. But Miriam was the water that bubbled up, the water that fed people, the water that came from within.
Would you think the Rebbe would agree that, so we have a mitzvah to put on tefillin, and that when Hashem gets us up in the morning, we wrap the tefillin, but so much of the pnimiyut of that could be our Iturah de la Tata. I mean that even with, let's say, with men, the overwhelming force is a drive, Iturah de la Ela, but there might be pnimius or kalana or some type, or no, is he saying it's really just all of that is just a surge from above? Or is there a feminine aspect too?
I wouldn't make blanket statements, it's all this or it's all that, absolutes. But let me put it this way. Most guys put on their tefillin because they know they have to. Right? That's called iteruta de la Ela. You might think like, well, I'd really rather eat breakfast and I'd really rather hang out, but I really have to put on my tefillin anyway, so I'm going to do that. Get over yourself. That's iteruta de la Ela. You didn't do any great achievement there. You okay, on your level it was a great achievement. Because you're working with the things that you have. But when God treats you as if you did something great, it's like, okay, it's Ki'ilu. I told you to do it in the first place. Okay, so at the end of the day, you agree to what I said. That's great. That's to kind of distill it. That's kind of what he's saying. The iteruta de la Tata is to desire, the wanting, the thirst that drives me to serve God. How much of that is in my Q mitzvah? It could be there when I put on my mitzvah. But I really have to make that happen, and it's not necessarily going to be there. Look, when the Zohar talks about the greatness of mitzvah, okay, the great potential and possibility of mitzvah, it says that mitzvah needs to be done b're'uta deliba. Re'uta deliba means the ratzon halev, the will, the desire, the thirst of the heart. That is what floods the mitzvah with spiritual activity. That's what unleashes the power in it. If you just did what you were commanded to do, so great, punch your card. You did it. But you didn't do that much. Okay? So Miriam, her avoda, it was all ratzon. It was all tshuka. It was all her own thirst for God. The bubbling water that reached up. She reached up and kissed God. Yeah, it's not al pi Hashem. So what does this have to do with things? What does this have to do with Purim? I mean, this Torah. We need to learn this Torah because this is one of the strongest Torahs in this. Because he ends up explaining why Moshe hit the rock. He ends up explaining many deep things. But what does this have to do with Purim? So I want to come back to what I said before that Purim is a time where we get to enter into a world where being forced to do something or obligated to do something or cajoled into doing something shifts to be giving a platform for ratzon to be expressed. What's your true desire? What is your true will? And I'll show you what I mean, okay? We read you Gemara and Shabbos. I have these sheets here. I don't know if they're going to be so useful or not, but I'll pass them out to you just so that when I read a Gemara, you can have words in front of you and follow along if you want. This Gemara is, in my mind, one of the three, of all the Gemara, I haven't seen that much of the Gemara. But of the Gemara I've seen, there's three that I think you need to know. And this is one of them. Okay. The Gemara in Masechet Shabbos, Peichet Amud Aleph 88a. So it's darshing the pasuk Vayityatvu b'tachtit har. Am Yisrael comes to Har Sinai and stands at the bottom of the mountain. Amarav Avdimi Bachama Barchasem Lamed Shekafak Kadosh Baruch Hu Aleim et Har Kigikit. This teaches, what do you mean they stood at the bottom of the mountain? It means that God held the mountain over their heads like a barrel. Not that they were at the foot of the mountain, but they were betachtit har, they were mamash under the mountain. Under the bottom of it, below the mountain. So you get to Har Sinai and the mountain is hanging over their heads. V'yamar lehem, im atem mekablim haTorah mutav. If you accept the Torah, great. V'im lav sham tehikvu atchem. But if not, there it will be your grave. You'll be buried right there. Im mekablim haTorah mutav, im lav sham tehikvu atchem. Amar Rabbi Yacha bar Yaakov, mikan moda rabba lo reita. From here, we have a great claim against the Torah. We have the best out in the world. Get out of jail free. Amar Rav. So before we get there, what's the Moda Rabba? So the Mefarshim explain. If you're holding the mountain over our heads and saying, accept the Torah, great, or die, or be buried here, so you can't hold me accountable for all the mitzvot I didn't do.
Under duress.
Yeah, I was coerced. You forced me. You said I die if I don't accept the Torah. Now you're going to say, oh, but I didn't keep your mitzvot afterwards. Like, I didn't have a choice here. I didn't say yes wholeheartedly. I commit to it. I never signed on the dotted line from my own will.
Fine.
You were going to drop a mountain on my head, so I took it. I wanted to live.
You still took it.
Okay, you still took it, but it's a moda rabbah. I still have a great complaint when I have a great taina when God wants to hold me accountable for what I did or didn't do. You forced me. What else could I have done? I didn't want your Torah in the first place. You didn't give me time to really come around to it. Amarava afal piken hadur kibua b'mei Achashverosh. Even so, even though we were coerced to receive the Torah, we had no choice but to accept the Torah. And we have a great claim. We have a great defense against anything God's going to hold us accountable for because of it. Right? I mean, how many of you were asked, do you want to be Jewish and have Torah mitzvot? How many of you were asked that question? Do you remember being asked that question? Some people are asked that question. Some people choose to become Jewish. Some people choose to take on mitzvot. A lot of people aren't asked. Okay. Well, God, if you had asked me, I would have had some conditions, Rava says, even so, later, they accepted it in the times of Achashverosh. It says at the end of the Megillah, which we'll look at, the Jews established and accepted. It means that they made it real, they confirmed what they had previously only accepted by force. Okay? What do you make of that? It's an awesome Gemara. But if I read the Megillah, is that what I get out of the Megillah? See, they accepted the Torah. Oh, see, they wanted it now. What do you make of that? What are they saying here? So I want to look at the psukim that they're referring to in the Megillah. Kimu v'kiblu. I don't understand what it's about. Okay, this is in pt. Towards the end of the Megillah. You have it there in your sheets. What pasuk does Torah? Kaf Gimel. Yeah. So this is basically towards the end of the Megillah where it's saying that they established a holiday. Okay? They accepted what Mordechai told them to do. Okay, so there's an acceptance, but it's not the acceptance that the Chachamim are saying. Mordechai wrote a letter, and they were like, "Great, we love your parties. We're going to do it every year." Okay, we'll give each other gifts and etc. He was the enemy of all the Yehudim. He thought to destroy them, and he made this lot. What's that referring to? And when she appeared before the king, Amar, so it's a weird, this is really weird psukim, because all of a sudden you lose the subject of the sentence. Because Haman made a lot, and when she came to the king, he said that the book will be given back and his thoughts will be undone. And the way the Mefarshim explain this on a simple level, Haman wanted to do his poor. Esther came before the king. The king said, we can combat the Gzera, but in this way. You can
It's summarizing everything we read.
Yes, but it's like, it's doing it in a very like terse way, yeah? V'talu oto ve'panav al ha'etz. Al ken karu le'mim Purim al shem ha'pur. Okay? So they made this holiday Purim. It tells the story in 2 sentences. Story in 2 sentences. He hated them. He drew lots. She came to him. He said, you can undo it, or you can combat it, basically. And they hanged him on the tree, so they call it Purim. That's the story in 2 sentences. Notice what's the main redemptive element of the story. What happened in this story? What changed things here?
Esther came.
Okay, remember that for later. Okay, that's the turning point. Al kain karu made the Purim, so they make a holiday. Lots. Okay. Now, they established and they accepted upon themselves and all of their generations and all who are with them. They will do these holidays as they're written and at their times and every single year. Now, if I just read that pasuk, what's it talking about? Purim. What were they kimu v'kiblu? This new holiday. This new holiday. They said, yeah, we'll do this every year, forever. And so will our descendants. And the Chachamim were saying that what's happening right here is that for the first time, Har Sinai is becoming real. That all of Torah that was given at Har Sinai through coercion is finally being accepted. The Ratzon is finally being willingly embraced and accepted. Kimu v'kiblu doesn't just mean we made a new holiday. It means that this agreeing to the holiday, this acceptance of Purim somehow reaches all the way back to include all of Torah mitzvot. All of Har Sinai becomes now, I can't ever say anymore, I'm only doing it because God forced me to. Still kind of mysterious, right? Like, what? Okay, so now I understand what the pasuk meant that the Chachamim were talking about. What? Why? So before we go to the next psukim, I want to read you something I saw a couple weeks ago from Reb Pinchas Mikoretz. Reb Pinchas Mikoretz was a master of like the one-liner, among other things. But his Torah is like he just says things in 1 or 2 sentences that just say it all. So this is a Torah of Reb Pinchas Mikoretz on Parshat Truma. That's what he says. Hamishkan shel hamidbar haya beratzon, ish kefi nidvat libo. The Mishkan, right, that was built in the wilderness. It's not in the paper. It was all beratzon. It was all willingly. Ish kefi nidvat libo, right? Moshe said, "Hey, anyone who wants to give what you want." It was all nidava. It was all what your heart desires. That built the Mishkan. V'lachen haya lo kiyum, and for that reason, it lasted. Right. Eventually, the Mishkan was replaced when we got to Israel, but the Mishkan was never destroyed. In fact, it was broken and rebuilt. Like that was. It lasted. It was never broken. Really, it had kiyum. It had lasting quality because it was baratzon. V'chein kol davar shenasa baratzon yesh lo kiyum. Anything that's done baratzon that you really want, anything you're doing because you want to, it's real. It's real. It has kiyum. It exists. V'chol ma shenaseh al yedei kfiyah ein lo kiyum. Anything that you do al yedei kfiyah, because you're forced, ein lo kiyum. It's not, doesn't have realness to it. Doesn't last. V'lachen, now listen to this. Lo haya kiyum lebeit olam im sha'asa Shlomo. Shlomo Melech's Beit HaMikdash couldn't last. Ki hitil mas al Yisrael. He taxed the people. Ve'achar kach amar. Okay, say that. In Melachim, you see that Shlomo Melech wanted to build a Beit HaMikdash, so he made a tax for everyone. Everyone has to pay. Shul membership. Everyone has to pay. You hear how deep this is? Because he forced people to pay, the Beit HaMikdash wasn't going to last. It was not going to last. And what you do from Ratzon, it lasts, and it's real. Now just think about what that means. You know, he says, Kol davar shenasa b'ratzon, Kol davar shenasa b'kfiyah. Everything in life that I'm doing because, like, I just have to, doesn't really have life to it. It doesn't have real life to it. I did it, but I had
Going
to.
through the motions.
I'll do it to get the burden off my back. I'll do it because I have to. I'm going to maybe just go through the motions, but it's like a dead action. It has no nitzchut. It has no lasting quality to it. But the things that I do baratzon, the things that my heart is in, that my passion is in, they're real. Now remember what we saw from the Ish Kodesh? All the mitzvot that we're forced to do. It's nice, but it's like, yeah, you didn't really do much there. But the things that are baratzon, it's truly ours. What are the defining moments in my life? You know, until this point. Are there the things that people forced me to do? Or are there the things when I took a stand, or chose a path, or chose not to do something? You know, what builds something that lasts? Ratzon, having will, having choosing, having agency, something that creates something real, something that lasts.
So, I mean, I don't know, because my understanding is that it connects perhaps to how the Be'er, even though I'm going to take a little Moshe hitting whatever, but it lasted past Miriam.
It still had water. You could still get water out of it. But I think the Chachamim say that they threw it in the Kinneret.
Yeah.
It's like at the bottom of the Kinneret. So it still has water. Okay, but now let's come back to Har Sinai. At Har Sinai, it was kfiyah. Kafale markigit. I can't imagine Parshat Truma when Pinchas Makaris is saying this, that he's not thinking of that Gemara. I'll tell you why, because always every year Purim falls out around the Parshat of the Mishkan. Mm-hmm. When Hashem forced us to accept Torah, it was Moda Rabba L'Oraita. It was all God did was give us a great excuse. A great excuse. And a sort of disconnect between the things that we were doing and the things that we were wanting. Or a disconnect between us and the mitzvot. They weren't fully ours. They're like, God, those are your mitzvot. You want me to do them. I'll do the ones I can do. I'm not going to do the ones I'm not going to do. You never asked me. Don't hold me accountable. But Purim was a moment where we were able to come into being full agents. We were able to come into saying, Kimu v'kibu. Where it's not like I'm agreeing. There was something so transformative that happened there that the rules of the game changed. Like the paradigm shift. We're no longer forced to be religious. We're no longer forced to want to connect to God. We're no longer forced to act for religion. Now, what about Purim made that happen? Where is that switch? What? What? What about Purim? Where's the moment that takes place?
From a historical perspective, I mean, I
Yeah.
thought I came to something. Purim was the first time that we had Jewish autonomy without being tied down to the nation. A Jew.
You mean at the end of the Megillah?
At
or
the end,
beginning?
at the end of the Purim story, once we had Kimu V'Kiblu at this moment, definitely, it was the nadir of it before. But before, we were living in Eretz Yisrael. There was no Jews going to a different country. It was you were then a foreigner. But now there's something internationalized about the world. This is sort of, I see it as this sort of Napoleonic time almost, or a precursor to that, where Jews now can move out of quote unquote
a citizen of the world.
A citizen of the world. So now a Jew who wants to be Jewish is mamish doing it at Ratzah in a strong way. There's not a national impetus there, at least.
Okay. There's another piece historically, which is Purim is happening at a time when the Beit HaMikdash had just been destroyed. The sort of narrative of the Torah just came to its first end. It happened to pick up with Purim. Purim actually created the next Slav of Torah, which is the beginning of the Tkufa. I mean, it's not, it's the beginning of the period of Torah She'ba'al Peh. Begins to be born around that time. There's now people who are taking steps to create new religious realities. That's happening in the story of Purim. It's happening with Ezra coming back to Eretz Yisrael, rebuilding, writing again. It's people are becoming agents, the Pashtut. And it's not because we're choosing to, it's because God is kind of receding out of the picture. Right? So there's this double movement where, I'm not choosing for God to leave the building. That's kind of God's choosing that. But what that enables is for us to begin to choose what we're going to do in response. So that's like a meta-national historical level. But let's look at the Megillah itself. Because remember, so that I think on one level, when the Chachamim said Kimu V'Kiblu, that actually establishing a new holiday, it's not something that ever happened before. That's writing new Torah. That's writing a new Torah. When you say, we're going to make a holiday out of this forever, that's what the Lashon is, Lo Yasuf Mizaram, it's going to be forever. It's the first time that happened. We're so used to this, Purim and Chanukah. We know the rabbinic holidays, but that's not so simple. That is not so simple to come along and say, we're going to make a holiday now for all time. That itself is the birth of something, of a new kind of human involvement in what we call our religion. Okay? So that's on one level of that Kimu V'Kiblu. The Yehudim themselves are now making a kiyum for the Torah that God gave them. And they're specifically doing it by changing it, by doing something that's not written in the Torah. Here it's the Torah is now mine, I can do something new with it. But that's one level. I want to look in the story of the Megillah too, because remember when the Megillah gave that 2-sentence rundown of events, Haman wants to do this, she came before the king, and it went back. I want to look at Esther coming before the king, okay? Before we get to I'll start with the Gemara. Gemara Megillah. The Gemara in Megillah on page 15a, Tet Vav Amud Aleph. It focuses on what we're going to read inside the Megillah in a minute, but it focuses on Esther's, after going back and forth, Mordechai saying, you should do this, or Esther saying, you're crazy, I can't do this, and so you should do this, you should do this. Finally, Mordechai gives her what we're going to see in a moment, and she says, Lech knos lekol haYehudim, v'tzumu alai, right? Go gather around all the Jews, fast for me. And then she says, and I will come before the king, asher lo kadat. Amar Rabbi Abba. What does it mean that I'm going to come to the king asher lo kadat? I'm going to go to the king illicitly. Right? She already said everybody knows the rule of the palace. Amar Rabbi Abba shelo kadat haya. What she chose to do at this moment was not according to the standard procedure. And it's not what you think. It's standard procedure, what we think by reading the Megillah is I can't go to the king. I wasn't called. Shebechol yom v'yom arachshav ba'ones. Every single time I went to the king, the Gemara is saying that Esther saying whenever I went to sleep with the king, it was ba'ones. Literally, the word ones in modern Hebrew means rape.
Right.
I was forced to sleep with the king every single time. Yachshav b'ratzon. Esther saying, at this time, I'm going to choose to go on my own. King's not calling me in. I'm going to go. Because Sher avadati, she says, what I lose, I will lose. Kishem she'avadati mi beit Abba, just like I lost my father's home, which I think means a feel of I was orphaned. Then I was brought into the palace and not connected to any of my family anymore. Kach oved mimcha, I'll be lost from you. Which in the backdrop of the Gemara also means that they were married. Gemara says that Mordechai and Esther were married. And that Esther's saying, if you willingly commit adultery, that you're asur to your spouse. This is the halachic backdrop to what the Gemara is saying here, is that Esther's saying, I'm choosing to go sleep. Until now, the king, it was all against my will. But now I'm going to choose to do it. And part of the consequences of my choice is that you and I are not going to be together anymore. It's like a whole new picture of what is going on there. I mean, if you read the shot of the Megillah, it's pretty severe. She might be beheaded on the spot. Maybe, right? That's what she's saying. She's like, you can die right away. Mm-hmm. So there's one level where it's like, okay, I'm willing to risk my life. But here, Gemara is saying the story is like a lot more complex than that. What she's willing to do at this moment is choose to bring something terrible upon herself and suffer the consequences of what that means for her whole life and identity and all this stuff. It's a very deep sugya, or we're not going to go super deep into it. We're going to pick up a few things from it. But notice here, this lashon, ad achshav ba'ones, and now I'm going to sparatzon. Till now it was all coerced, and now there's something I'm going to do by choice. Till now it was all forced upon me. All of this reality, all of this story was all a story of oneness. And at this moment, Esther's saying, I'm going to take stand. Right, this is the moment in the Megillah where we move out of a world that's just determined, that's just forced, that's just dumped on us, and we have somebody deciding to do something, and deciding to do something extreme and painful, but baratzon. Okay, let's look now at the psukim of the Megillah to see this. This is in the 4th parak. I'm going to skip down. Mordechai, just kind of summarize. Mordechai tears his clothes. All the Jews are fasting, and in Avel. Let's read a little on parak Daled. Vatavona narot Esther v'sariseya ve'yigidu la v'titchalchala malka me'od. They come and they tell her. She gets. What are they telling her now? They're just saying Mordechai showed up in dirty clothes to the palace. And she's like, what? Go get him dressed. But she wants him to get dressed. Says, I'm not accepting. No. She calls her, al Mordechai. Notice that she makes a command here. She commands Mordechai. What is going on here? Hatech goes out, he goes to there, he tells Mordechai. Mordechai tells him what happened, he shows him the money, etc., the whole plan to wipe out the Jews. Pasuk Chet, Natanu leharot et Esther ulehagida uletzavot aleha lavo el hamelech. So Mordechai says, well, I have a command for Esther. I'm going to tell you, look what happens, look what he, and give her my command. She has to go to the king. She has to go to the king. Li'itchanen lo. to beg, and to ask on behalf of her people. Hatach comes and says, Mordechai says, you have to do this? She says, I just told him that he has to do this. He said, no, now he's telling me I have to do this. Now look at this. Esther says to Hatach, I'm going to give him my own command. You want to know, you have a command for me, Mordechai, to go ahead? Well, you know what? Everybody knows that anyone who goes into the king without being called is going to be killed. He's going to be executed. And I haven't been called for 30 days. So what happened so far? Two people with a messenger telling each other what to do, and nobody's listening. Yeah? No.
Poor Hatach is caught in the middle.
Hatach's caught in the middle. Now look, Vayomer Mordechai lahashiv el Esther. Now it goes from being magid, and mitzaveh, from telling and commanding, Vayomer. Chachamim say that lahagid is a harsh way of speech, and amira is soft, like a whisper. Lahashiv el Esther, just return something to her. Respond. There's a response finally, right? They're not just throwing arrows at each other. I'll give a rough translation. Don't think about yourself that you will be rescued in the king's house from all the rest of the Jews. For if you are silent in this moment, there will be salvation for the Yehudim from another source, from somewhere else. And you and your father's home will be lost. And who knows if for this very moment you arrived to the palace, to the royalty. Notice there again, she has an amirah and a tshuva. Right? They're responding. They're speaking to one another. But before we get there, let's just look at what Mordechai says to her. Right? The commands aren't working. You do this. You do this. You do this. You do this. What changes already in Mordechai's response here? He says, "You have a choice, Esther. You can be silent. You can choose not to choose. You can choose not to take a stand. And if so, you'll be lost." But before that even, he says to her, you could choose not to do anything and it's all going to be okay. It's like, Esther, you don't have to do anything. I've been telling you do this. I've been telling you what you need to do. Now it's like, Esther, truth is you really don't need to do anything. You really don't need to act here. It will cause you to be lost, but you really don't need to. You don't have to. And who knows? Maybe this is it. Who knows if this is what this moment was for? He's not. He shifts from all this language of you have to do this because of this and because of this to just saying everything's going to be okay. Esther, you can be lost, and who knows what else can happen. He just opens up the floor for her. Says, I don't know what's going to be. I don't even know who's going to save the Jews. It'll be from somewhere else. It will work itself out. The question is for you. Maybe you'll be lost, and maybe who knows. He's not even telling her what will happen if she goes to the king at this point. Who knows if this is the moment that you became royalty for. He perfectly sets up a platform for her to have ratzon. Because think about what's happened to Esther until this moment. Everything in the story has happened to her. She was adopted by somebody else. She was taken to the palace. She was bathed in perfume. She was taken to the king. It even says in the Megillah, this is just the psukim, anyone could ask for whatever they want to go to the king's palace when he calls them to meet her, and she didn't ask for anything. Esther has not done a single thing in this story. She has not acted on her own will at all. Am Yisrael, the Yehudim, are also, as a whole nation, the reality being forced upon. They were kicked out of their land, they were sent into exile, and there's a decree forced upon all of them to get wiped out. And finally, Mordechai opens up the curtains for her. And he says, Esther, you have a chance to do something here. I can't tell you what will be. If I tell you that if you do it, it will work out, I'm already taking away your free will. You can't make a choice if I tell you what will be if you step. All I can say is me and Dea. Who has any? I have no idea. But who knows? Who knows? I want to say that in this story, Mordechai is probably the only person who knows so far what can happen as a consequence of somebody making a decision. Because he decides on his own to not bow. And he decides to not bow. He doesn't have to not bow. Mamish, he probably should have bowed. But he decides not to. And when it says at the beginning of this parak, Mordechai Yadat, Kol Asher Na'asa, he knows everything that happened. Everybody knows what happened. Everybody knows there's a decree, but Mordechai is the only one who knows that Kol Asher Na'asa. He knows the whole story. He knows that it's his fault. He knows that one person deciding to do something can have ripple effects for everything. And he
went above
what was called for.
Yeah, what we've been
He
speaking about.
violated what was called for what he believed in, for what he
We've been
wanted.
saying all along.
Yes. He not only went beyond, he should have bowed. And he chose not to. And he comes to Esther and says, Esther, I can't tell you how, I can't tell you what, it's all going to be okay. We're all good here. If you're silent, you will disappear into your silence. And who knows? That's what he says to her. Doesn't say to her, and now's your chance. He doesn't say that to her. We all think he gave her this pep talk. Yeah, you can do it. This is why you're here. He's nuts. He's like, I don't know. I have no idea. The only thing he knows is that everything's going to work itself out somehow, with her or without her.
He's putting his faith in God.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe he's putting his faith.
Yeah.
Yes, but think about how he puts faith, how he phrases his faith in God. It's going to happen some other way. He's not even saying God's going to save Am
Because
Yisrael.
the whole thing is hidden, so it's like that's why he's
Yeah,
acting that way.
yeah, but it's because he's acknowledging that the whole world is now operating on a different paradigm. God isn't going to sweep in here in a magic cape. It'll come from Makom Acher. I don't know what that place is. Something else will be the cause of it. Things will work out. Even if he came to Esther and said, Esther, God's going to save us, that is already more clarity than he comes to her. And by doing that, he's already taking away some of her choice. That's what I'm trying to get at here. He speaks to her in such a way to give her total agency and choice here. To not choose will be to fizzle into your silence. And who knows?
He's a little threatening that, like if you.
There is a threat.
Yeah.
There is a threat. He is saying to her, there is a consequence for not choosing. There's a consequence for not choosing. And at the same time, he's saying, I can't guarantee you anything to choose. Can't guarantee you anything.
There's maybe more I was thinking maybe it's a little not the most short way of reading it, but you could say that it's like a question. Like, are you maybe you guys aren't gonna be there. Who knows if this is really gonna happen? If that is what's to be. He got to the malchut. You're a queen. It's
You can make a lot of drushes.
yeah. That's as far as I'm saying.
Yeah, the Gemara asks, Mordechai min Torah minayin. The Gemara asks, where's Esther in the Torah? Where's Mordechai in the Torah? Mordechai min Torah minayin. Say the Aramaic breakdown of the words Mordechai is Maradachya. Maradachya is Aramaic for the words mordror. which means pure myrrh oil. It's an incense. It's a perfume that was used in the beginning. But the word Torah means what?
Freedom.
Freedom. Rabbi Nachman says in Kutamar on Torah 56. Look there. It's all about freedom. Rabbi Nachman says Mordechai is more Torah, means he's the master of freedom. The master of freedom. And he says the true Malchut, true kingship, is, he says in Mishlei, is in Mishlei Kohelet, Ashrech Melech, Ashrech Eretz Shemalchech Ben Chorim. The happiest land is the one whose king is a free person. Mordechai is handing over Esther the possibility of freedom. Not only freedom from her individual situation. Dafka, it's actually not freedom from her individual situation. Because of everything we saw in this Gemara. Kasher avadati means I'm in this forever. I'm like, well, I'm separated from you and I'm locked here in the king for the rest of my life. She is not going to be safe from her personal situation. What she has the freedom to do is to choose how to live in that situation. She has the freedom to choose within that situation. And if we're using these paradigms of onus and ratzon, the situation is forced upon us. But does that mean that we can't have ratzon anymore? Ratzon, not just I wish it was something else, but ratzon meaning I'm really going to act for myself within this forced situation. I can't control the situation. Like, what's freedom? What does freedom mean? We have this, like, this mishagas that to choose means that I can choose whatever I want from some kind of like imaginary blank slate reality. Nobody chooses whatever they want. It doesn't exist. The American mythos, but that doesn't exist. Nobody chooses what they want. We're given many things. Many things are forced upon us. We're born into things. We encounter things. We experience things. Where can Ratzon live within that? This is what Mordechai is giving a key to. What it means to be free. What it means to have a life that's not going to be lost, but that's going to have kiyum to it. It's deeper than what's your situation surrounding you. It's deeper than are you locked in the palace for the rest of your life? Because Esther could just say, look, I'm in the palace for the rest of my life. What am I going to do? I'm stuck here. Just like being dragged through life with misery. What does it mean to choose the moment that you're forced into? What does it mean to choose in the moment that you've been forced into? To bring Ratzon into your way of being that moment. Okay? Let's look at Esther's response. Lech knosset kol Yehudim hanimtzaim b'Shushan v'tzumu alai v'al techlu v'al tishtu shlosh yamim laila v'yom v'gam ani v'no v'tay tzumken. Okay? Gather them all together. They're going to fast for me. I'm going to fast too. Uvechein avo el melech asher lo chadat. And so, I'm going to come to the melech asher lo chadat. I'm not going to follow the rules. I'm not going to continue to be resigned to the determined world. V'chasher avadati. And you know what? If I get lost, I'm totally ready to get lost now. Because I'm not bound to that. It's so different than the avadati, the atuvet avichtovedu that Mordechai told her. You can be lost by holding yourself back and not choosing. You can be lost in your silence, sunk by your silence. Har Sinai dropped on your head. You can be lost by remaining a spectator of your own life. And Esther's saying, I'm going to take a stand for my life, and maybe I'll be lost, and I'm willing to be lost. I'm choosing that possibility.
Is that coming from below? Like
This is
Miriam?
totally coming from Esther. The Einai. This is coming from Esther. Look, God runs the world. But you read the story, and this is what it's telling us. It's telling us of a woman who her whole narrative flips here. Because until this point, she is the maiden who's dragged through realities that she is not choosing for herself. And Mordechai isolates for her a moment where she can make a choice. hands over that possibility to her. And that's what changes the story. That's what we see, Buvo'al Hamelech. What the Megillah says later in 3 words, she came to the king. She came to the king, this is what it meant for her to come to the king. This is the mechanism that brought her to the king. And this is why there was a overturning of the story. This is why we have the holiday of Purim that we have. This is why Kimu V'Kibla Yehudi. This is what we had to accept. This is what Esther gave us. Esther gave us Har Sinai. Esther gave us the whole Torah by saying to us, the reality we live in is not just one where we are forced and we have no agency. You can't have a Torah that is life. Here I'm saying the Torah cannot be real if all of life is something that we can't choose. As far as the Torah is concerned, you know what Esther's saying? Every single thing you do, you have to choose. Every single thing you do, it has to be with has to be with Ratzah. Because otherwise you didn't do anything. Otherwise, you're disappearing in the silence. And there's risk involved here, right? I'm gonna read you a Gemara that just. This is the Hemshech, the next page of the Gemara. This is the part of Masechet Megillah that goes through all the psukim like in order in the Megillah. Just gives you the drasha about it. Look at the second page. Vayhi b'yom hashlishi v'tilbash Esther malchut. By the way, where else do these words appear? Vayhi b'yom hashlishi. You know where else this comes up? Matan Torah. God told Moshe, go tell the people to get ready for 3 days, change your clothes, wash your clothes, etc., etc. I'm not going to get into it, but there's a whole like parallel story happening there. Vayhi b'yom hashlishi, and there were kol u'brakim, there were thundering sounds from heaven. Here, Vayhi b'yom hashlishi v'tilbash Esther malchut. Esther donned, she wore malchut, kingship, royalty. What's the Matan Torah that's happening in the Megillah when Esther puts on the royal garments after 3 days of fasting? Big day malchut mi ba'ileh. What do you mean she wore kingship? It should say she wore royal clothing. Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Chanina. Lamed shelafta ruach hakodesh. Levashta ruach hakodesh. The ruach hakodesh enclothed her. She was adorned with intuitive, holy spirit. Okay. Now go to the end. It continues on. This is already on Tefev on the bet. The Gemara is walking us through. Esther wears the royal clothes. It means that she's enclothed in Ruach HaKodesh in this moment. She's channeling God right now. She's channeling God's Ratzon through her own waltzing as she waltzes towards the kingdom, or probably trembles towards the kingdom. Then it says that Esther stands at the inner chamber of the palace. What's she doing standing there? Amar Rabbi Levi, Kevan shehigia lebeit hatzlamim. She arrived at the house of idols, Beit Hatzlamim, or I like to call it the Hall of Illusions. She had to walk through the Hall of Illusions to get to the king. Remember, she had Ruach HaKodesh accompanying her. Gewalt, she wore the royal robe. She's ready to go save the day. And she arrives at this hall of images, and the Shekhinah left her. Amra Keli Lama Zabtani. She calls out, God, why did you abandon me now? Why have you abandoned me? Okay, as Esther's about to get to the king, she starts by feeling all royal and inspired, and God is with me, and then she mamash feels God leave her. She reaches this point of being totally abandoned. What I love about this Gemara is that she doesn't turn around. She goes. The Gemara is just making the whole story that much more dramatic. But it's really just extending the same story. Esther is walking to the king without God. This is the heroic action. This is what it means to really choose. This is her Ratzon, because God left her. At this moment, Esther can be the Moshiach. She can be the one who does something on her own, because God mamish left her on her own. Now look at what the Gemara says. This is wild. Shema ta'dan al shogeg kamezid bal ones karatzon. What does Esther say to God? Could it be that you judge someone who acts unintentionally as if they acted willingly? Could it be that you treat someone who's forced into a situation as if they're choosing that situation? Now, you can read this Gemara many ways. It might be it's two different Chachamim who say the statement we saw before of until now is Ones and now it's Ratzon than the one who says the statement. But if you read this as a thread, you just told me, Esther, that you said until now was Ones and now it's Ratzon. And now she's saying, wait a minute, God, why did you leave me? I'm forced into this situation. I didn't choose it. What do you mean? You just told me you were choosing it. Yeah? You with me, Moshe? Yeah? So, I'm just going to read you Rashi. What Rashi? Because Rashi tries to make the whole story make sense. Al ones. Listen to what he says. Af al pish ani ba ilav me'elai. Even though I'm coming to the king now from myself, ones he. It really is forced. Even though I'm choosing to do this. God, I know that I didn't choose this. Or I'll say otherwise. I'm choosing my action, but I didn't choose this situation. Right? This is like the moment of truth. This is the point. If we really want to, let's take it away from Esther, or she's in an extreme. If we ever really want to be people of Ratzon, be Balei Bechira, if we ever really want to choose something in our life and go for that, we encounter a shtickle of what Esther is being. God, when you make a real choice, it's because nobody else is making that choice for you. God has abandoned you. God has forced you into a situation that you didn't choose. Are you still willing to choose what you believe? That's a moment of truth. That is a moment that defines part of the path of our life. This is what's happening at the heart of the Megillah, is that God is mamash not in the story. Esther, the whole people feel God's abandonment, and she's willing to do the wildest thing in the world for the truth that she believes in. That's where Esther gives us the Torah. That's Kimu V'Kibla Yehudim. That's what makes Har Sinai work. That's what makes all of Torah work now. That it's not just a world where you get 40 lashes if you don't keep the mitzvot, or you get stoned to death if you break Shabbos. It's not a world where the revelation of God is so overwhelming that you have no choice but to do what God says. Nobody's talking to you anymore. Nobody's talking to you from the outside anymore. It's all the Ratzon. It's the Be'er Miriam. Yeah? It's the bubbling up from below. In a sense, this is, I think, very much related to the mitzvah of Adul Yada ben Avraham and Baruch Mordechai. Because here, okay, this is not in celebration. This is in crisis. And in crisis, all the doubt is gone. Esther doesn't know anything. There's nothing clear here. I don't know what's going to happen if I do this. I don't know what's going to happen a moment from now. I don't know if God is with me. I don't know if God is totally abandoned me. I don't know if what I'm doing is right. I don't know if it's wrong. I don't know if I'm the holiest person in the world or the least holy person in the world. Think about what Esther standing there on her way to Achashverosh. Does she know that she's going to have a book written about her? All she knows is I have no idea. I'm going to choose to go. It's all on me. Like sumo alai, like just for what sumo alai. I'm taking it on. I don't know the answers here. This is the path I see forward. I might be totally wrong. And who knows? In the 8th Kazat, he got the Malchut. Who knows if this is the moment to do something? This is the moment where all the threads are going to somehow. This is where the paths lead me. I don't know. Right? When do we ever know that what we're doing is right? We don't. We never know.
It's over.
Right. So we thank God we have a Torah mitzvah. Okay. Thank God we have a Torah mitzvah. And when we resign ourselves to just like leaning on a system that helps us feel like, well, I did what I'm supposed to. I did what I'm supposed to. You know, it's like, what did you do? What did you do? I wouldn't say this the rest of the year, at least not out loud. But we show up on Purim and we're not playing by that rule book. That's not what Purim is about. It's not about like, okay, yeah, you have to do the mitzvah every day. You do. But that's not it. That's not the point. That's not the point. You know, on Purim, the point is to go beyond what you know. Is to take and thank God, we're not in crisis. We're in a safe environment with friends, mishpacha. We're celebrating, and to step into that place. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what's going to come from me. I don't know what's going to be expressed when I let go of all of my dayot, all of the things I think I'm supposed to be for other people, for myself, for the world, for Hashem. When I just let out what's really inside there, the ratzon, come out. Today to have that. Today to taste that. And that makes, without that, we don't have Torah the rest of the year. Without that, we don't. Because then it's all just like a bound system. Like what are we doing? Where are we in it? I think on some level, you know, what if the mitzvot are beyond just being the mitzvah for us to do? What if the mitzvot are also teaching us how we're meant to be choosing in this world? Right? Let me ask you just an honest question. Who is forcing you to do anything? Nobody is forcing anything upon you. We now live in a time where we can say, without a doubt, that there is nothing forced upon us as far as what you believe, what you choose to do, how you act. Nobody is forcing you. We feel forced.
Right.
But what if I told you you're choosing all of them as what you do? How would that change what you do, how you do them? What if when I do a mitzvah, or before I do a mitzvah, I actually make a choice? I actually say, like, tap into the well, to the air, to the ratzon. You know, the root of the liba. But the Zohar says that's what gives life to mitzvot. The Zohar is saying what gives life to mitzvot is root of the liba. And without that, you're like a golem. You're like a golem. I just want to, this whole sugya, you know, there's mamish a Mishnah. It says, the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot. It says, Al korchacha tanotza. Against your will, you're formed. Al korchacha tanolad. Against your will, you're born. Al korchacha tachai. Against your will, you live. Al korchacha tamet. And against your will, you're going to die. Who chose any of this? There's another Gemara where it says Hillel and Shammai and everybody, the one thing that they could all agree about is Tov lo adam shelo nivra. It would have been better for a person to never been created. Wow. Mishu nivra yasak b'torah mitzvah. Okay, if already we're here, let's do something worthwhile. You know, to first to encounter the points that we don't choose, and to say, okay, I acknowledge that I didn't choose a lot of these things in my life, but I'm going to make a life for myself. I'm going to live. I'm not going to allow myself to not live. I'm not going to allow myself to just be shackled to some life that I didn't want, to some life I didn't want. We have no choice, and within that, once we acknowledge we have no choice, then we can choose what to do. Once you acknowledge that I didn't make this thing, and I'm here, then I can own being here. But it's more comfortable to sort of hide behind the curtain and just be like, this is just what there is, and this is just what I do, because this is just what there is. But Purim's giving us an opportunity to let go into who I am, to let go into what I'm able to be about. Yeah,
Is to hide that. Is to become something else.
The mask is very interesting because the mask is on the one hand saying like I'm not really here, and at the same time saying I can also really be here. Like the mask does both of those. It hides us and also lets you be free. Like you put on sunglasses and all of a sudden you're like the life of the party. It's like you're doing impersonations that you would never act that way. Like, oh, they don't really see my face. But what if God's doing the same thing? What if God's saying, when you don't see my face, I get to really be me too? Which isn't just going around telling you, which is what you see before you, which isn't just going around telling you what to do, but is this is the world I'm really giving. I'll tell you one last thing, and we'll stop this here. The Ben Ish Chai has an awesome perush on the Gadatas and Shas, on the stories in the Gemara. And it's two perushim printed together. So he says, what does it mean, kafalem hakigigit? What does it mean that there was a barrel hanging over their heads? Why not just say it was a mountain over their heads? You need a barrel? So first of all, before you get to Ben Ish Chai, Rashi on that Gemara, we closed it already. Rashi says, what is a gigit? He says, Shemetilim bo shecha. Rashi says the gigit is like a barrel of beer. It's a keg. Mamish Rashi has to say that. God held a mountain over their heads like a barrel. Rashi says, like a whiskey barrel. Mamish, he just says that. Okay? Number one. But the Ben Ish Chai says the difference between a barrel and a mountain is that a barrel is hollow. So he says, hollow. It's empty on the inside. So he says Hashem picked up the mountain and hollowed out the inside. And says, you can take just the words of Torah, the literal Torah Shebichtav, what there is in front of you, and just say, this is all I want. But if that's what you take, Sham tehek fuatchem. You're gonna be buried in that. You're not gonna get anywhere beyond that. But if you're willing to see that there's the hollowed out space, there's infinite depth in every letter, in every word, in every piece of what I'm trying to offer you, then you can go on. You can go higher. So he's saying that the hollowed out mountain is showing us there's infinite space in every single bit of Torah. And it's opening, God is giving us that choice. You take the Torah just for this limited thing, or you accept the empty space, the infinite open space within it. I don't know what else to say. Have an awesome Purim. Don't, as much as I said things of what I think Purim's about, don't let any of that dictate you. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows?